Today I am going to show you how to make caramel apple pie filling, and I'm also going to show you my favorite way to use that caramel apple pie filling. I recently got a bunch of apples from my mom's farm, and so I dug out my apple peeler quarter slicer and got to work on those apples. For the recipe that we're going to be doing, we're going to need about 10 pounds of apples, 20 cups of apples. This recipe is from this new book that I picked up called Preserving with a Purpose. It's by Sarah Thrush. She's so awesome. I was so excited that she finally wrote a cookbook. For this recipe, we're going to need 2 cups of brown sugar, 3.5 cups of granulated sugar, 1 tablespoon of cinnamon, a teaspoon of nutmeg, and 1.5 cups of clear gel. Then we're going to stir that up a little bit. Be as messy as you want, because I am. Get it nice and mixed up. Then we are going to add 5 cups of apple cider, but not all at once. I like to add 2 cups, and then stir, and then 2 cups, and then stir some more, and then add that final 1 cup and get it all stirred up. So here I've got my quart jars warming up in the canner, just showing you that there. Now we're going to start warming up this wonderful concoction, and what you need to know about this is you've got to watch it, because if you just let it warm up and you don't stir it a lot, it's going to get super globby and you're not going to be able to fix it. So I'm pretty obsessive about stirring this. You're going to see some globs there on my whisk, but just keep stirring, just keep stirring. It's going to turn into a lovely, wonderful, caramely concoction, and there you go. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? But you just got to keep stirring. Now we're going to add the 3/4 cup of lemon juice and get that stirred in. And now comes the really fun part. We are going to drain all those apples that have been sitting in water and lemon juice so they don't get brown, and then we are going to add all those apples to the caramely sauce. Now don't add all the apples all at once and try to stir them in, because it's not going to work. You're going to have a huge mess. You have to add some apples and then stir, and then add more apples and then stir, and then add more apples and stir. And it takes a while, but trust me, doing it little bit by little bit is going to work so much better than trying to do too much all at once. Once you get it all stirred up, it's going to look great. Make sure it is well combined. You don't want a bunch of sauce sitting at the bottom with a bunch of dry apples on top, so make sure it is well combined. Now it's time to start filling jars, so grab a warm jar and start ladling that filling into the jar. Something that is really important to know is that with pie filling, you need to leave a lot of head space. So make sure that when you are filling these, you are leaving about 1.5 inches of head space. That will help with siphoning issues or sealing issues. So watch that head space. Now I'm going to put that rubber spatula down in there, get any air bubbles out, make sure everything's good and smooth in there. Wipe off the rim, grab a lid, twist on a ring, and then it's time to put it into the canner carefully. And then you are going to repeat that for all the jars until they're filled. Put the jars down in the water, and then make sure that you have at least 1 inch of water covering the top of those jars. If you don't, you're going to have to add hot water. I like to save the hot water that I had poured out of the jars as they were warming. I save that in a metal bowl in my sink, so then if I need to add hot water back in before I actually start canning, I have that hot water available. Just to show you that it is boiling, so now we are going to start the timer. We're going to set it for 20 minutes. We're going to process these quarts for 20 minutes. Now when those 20 minutes are up and the canner is done, you are simply going to turn your buzzer off, and then you are going to turn the burner off, and then you are going to set the timer for another 10 minutes, and you are just going to let the canner just sit. This is something I learned from Sarah's book. I am not new to canning, but I didn't know this. When the timer goes off after 10 minutes, you are then going to slightly move the cover off the canner, or you can also rest it on a wooden spoon, and you are going to set the timer for another 10 minutes. Just going to let everything sit and cool off naturally. The next time the timer goes off, you're going to remove the cover completely from the canner. You are going to set the timer for another 10 minutes and you're just going to let everything sit. This is called the 10-10-10 method. Then when that's all said and done, you are going to take all those wonderful jars out of the canner very carefully. This was the second batch that I had made that day. That's why there's so many jars already on the counter. And there you go. Look at all that. Now I'm going to show you what I like to do with this caramel apple pie filling. Get yourself a pie crust. This is one from the store. You don't have to make it from scratch if you don't have time. You can use 1 jar of pie filling for this or 2. It depends on what you want to do. But get that pie filling into the crust and smear it all around. Now you can add another jar of canned apple pie filling, but I think what I'm going to do instead is add a really thick topping to this. Normally I would add more apple pie filling. It's just what you want to do, you know? You want to have a lot of filling, not a lot of filling. It's up to you. That's the beauty of it. All right, let's make this topping. Ugh. To make this crumbly topping, you're going to need 1 soft stick of butter, 1 cup of flour, and 1 cup of brown sugar. I don't have a pastry blender, so I cut it all together with 2 forks. Use what you have. Beautiful. Now, for that, whew, making a mess. On top of there. Kind of mound that around. Good thing we didn't add more fillings, because this made a lot of topping. What is that? I don't know what that is. All right, now I'm gonna put that on a pizza pan because I'm always afraid that it's going to boil over and make a mess of my stove. So I always put my pie on another pan. Let's put it in the oven.